Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 394th Judicial District Court. We are here this morning to start our first docket of the day, the Brewster County Family Law docket. I am going to call the docket in order, so I want to remind all of the attorneys in the room to please keep your cameras off and your microphones muted until I call a case for which you are counsel of record. At that time, activate your camera, unmute your microphone, and make your announcement. Our first case on the docket today is CVB 0886. This is in the interest of the Nanez children, a post-mediation status. Is there anyone here on that case?
Judge Austin Rawls for Jesus Nanez. I am having trouble with my video. I'm sorry.
Let me see if I can prompt it. All right. You may have a slider or a lift safety guard, privacy guard in front of the camera, or it could be there's a button you push to make the camera pop up. Do you have any of those things? No? Mr. Rawls? Ms. Olguin, have you seen Mr. Valdez?
No, Judge.
Heard from him?
No.
Well, why don't we keep going, and then when he gets back, we'll admit him and his client. I'll put that case on recall. Well, he's back. Let's see if it works the second time. Mr. Rawls, having any better luck?
I am, Judge. Thank you. And I apologize for not being in my office. There was a mix-up in my office, and we thought this was an in-person hearing, and so I am halfway to Alpine.
No. Well, it would have been nice to see you nonetheless. I'm here. All right. So this is a post-mediation status update. Mr. Nanez is in the waiting room. I'll admit him. I do not have Mr. Valadez or his client in the waiting room.
We have reached an agreement, Judge, and so I imagine they might not be here, and my client and I can put this agreement on the record today. We have obtained all signatures on an agreed order, and if you'd like to take care of it today, we can.
We'll do it right now. Let me see if I can get him to materialize for us. All right, there he is. He's not connected to audio, however. So he cannot hear me.
He's likely in the same situation I am. I'll send him a text message, though, to see if he's...
He just needs to tap the screen and hit connect to audio. There he is. He's got it. Thank you, Ms. Olguin. All right, Mr. Nanez, let me prompt you to unmute here.
You hear me?
Can you hear me, sir?
Very faintly for whatever reason.
Turn your volume up as loud as you can. Is that any better?
I can't hear you.
Where are you, Mr. Nunez?
I'm pulled over on the side of the road.
Are you in Alpine?
Excuse me?
Are you in Alpine?
Well, I was on my way to Alpine, but I was informed.
Judge, I think-
Where I could
wait.
get a signal.
Mr. Ross?
Yeah, I think he was on his way to Alpine when I let him know about an hour ago that we were wrong about this being an in-person hearing. So my guess is he's parked along the side of the road somewhere in between Alpine and Fort Stockton.
I can't hear him well enough to do anything, and he can't hear me. So
Could
If you-
he perhaps a better place and you recall this case in just a little bit?
that'll be fine. Why don't you? I'll put him back in the waiting room. Tell him to find some other way to connect if he can. I'm happy to do it today. If we can't, we'll reset it and do it another time.
Okay, Judge, if you don't mind recalling us, I'll let you know one way or the other in just a little bit.
That sounds good. I'll put him back in the waiting room.
Thank you.
That case is on recall. Next up, 22006. Shanna Moody and Jeremiah Moody. Mr. Ponton, I'm admitting Mrs. Moody right now.
Hey, Judge, we're ready for a prove up. We've solved the service problem on the respondent. I think we've filed the sheriff's deputy's report from Erath County, and so we're ready to conclude it today.
All right, let me see here. Yeah, Ms. Olguin, it is not popping up in that directory, so I'm gonna take it through the chat.
Put it in the chat. Judge.
I've got it. All right, let's go on the record. This is cause FMB 22006, the matter of the marriage of Shanna and Jeremiah Moody. Let's have announcements, please.
Rod Ponton for petitioner Shanna Moody. We're present and ready.
Right, what is the status of service? I will state for the record that the respondent has not appeared here today.
The status of service was that Jeremiah Moody was personally served on June 20th, 2022 by the Erath County Sheriff's Department. And we have a certificate from the deputy to that effect on file with the court.
We'll take judicial notice that the amended, it's titled revised return of service has been filed. It does comply with TRCP 107. I will take judicial notice that no responsive pleading has been filed in this case. Therefore, he has elected not to participate, although you still have your burden of proof to prove up a just and right division, as well as venue and jurisdiction and grounds. So you may proceed at this time. Call your first witness.
Call Shanna Moody.
Ms. Moody, if you would unmute for me. Would you raise your right hand? Hold it up where I can see it. You solemnly swear the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Lower your hand and tell me your full legal name, please.
Shanna Ussery Moody.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Mr. Ponton, your witness.
Ms. Moody, tell the judge your name, where you live, and what you do.
Shanna Ussery Moody. I live in Alpine, Texas, and I am an assistant professor at Sul Ross State University.
Did you live in Texas for more than 6 months before we filed this petition for divorce?
Yes, sir.
And did you live in Brewster County for at least 90 days before we filed this petition for divorce?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently married to Jeremiah Moody?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that he has been served with the divorce petition in June of this year, but he's chosen not to participate or come to court. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any children with Mr. Moody?
Yes, sir. 1,
And how old is that child?
20.
So there's no child under 18 before the court.
Correct.
And is the marriage broken and it's not going to get back together, irretrievably broken?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And in regards to the property, the only community property that you and your husband held were the 2 vehicles. Is that correct?
We owned a piece of property, a land and a house.
Okay. And tell us about the house.
It's a house on 7.5 acres, and we had mutually agreed to pay the remaining debt, which is small, and then have it deeded to our son.
All right.
And we are equally paying the debt. We are splitting the remaining amount of payment.
Okay. And then and even though your husband's not before us, that's your agreement with your husband.
Yes, sir.
And then do you have a vehicle that you're keeping and paying the debt on?
Yes, it's solely in my name.
And what is that vehicle?
Jeep Cherokee.
And does your husband have a vehicle that he is keeping and paying the debt on?
Yes, he has 3.
And
they're all, none of them have my name on them.
and so he's going to continue to pay the debt on those. That includes a 2021 Ram truck.
Yes.
Do you have any separate property that you acquired before the marriage that you want the judge to confirm as your separate property?
No.
Okay. And we have a proposed final decree of divorce in this case that notes that you are obligating yourself to pay half of each monthly payment due on the residence at land in Dublin, Texas. And that upon completion of the payments, the parties will execute documents to convey the property to their son, Cinch Jarrett Moody. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And does your husband agree with that?
Yes.
And you also have a joint debt on a horse trailer that you're going to give to your son.
It's in my name and my mom's name. It's not in Jeremiah's name.
Okay. And who's going to end up owning that horse trailer?
I took over the payments of that.
Okay. Do you believe that the proposed the way the property is divided in the divorce decree, do you believe that is just and right?
Yes, sir.
Does that reflect all the property that you understand that you and or your husband owned jointly as community property?
Yes, sir.
And you agree with everything that's in the proposed divorce decree?
Yes, sir.
And you're asking the judge to enter a divorce today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I pass witness, Judge.
A couple of things. You don't have any children under the age of 18. Did you take any children into your home for adoption purposes?
No, sir.
Are you currently expecting a child now?
No, sir.
Have the two of you agreed that as to the personal belongings, the stuff that you've acquired during the marriage, you've already divided that, and everything he's got in his possession, he's going to keep? Everything you've got in your possession, you're going to keep? Is that right?
Yes, sir. We've been living apart for 2 years.
So everything's already split. There's nothing each of you wants from the other. You're fighting over.
Correct.
And the debts, if they're in your, other than the ones you've specified here, any debts that turn up that are in your name, whether it be taxes or anything like that, you're going to pay. Any debts in his name, whatever it is, he's going to pay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Do you think, taking all of that into consideration, the value of what you're getting, the debts you're each paying, balancing all that out, you think it's fair the way that y'all have divided up your assets and debts?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking me to change your name?
No, sir.
I have no further questions. Do you have anything else, Mr. Pond?
No, Your Honor.
Court finds it as venue and jurisdiction. I find there is no reasonable expectation of reconciliation, and therefore I hereby grant your divorce. I find there are no children subject to the jurisdiction of the court. As to the division of the marital estate, I will award each party the property in their possession, personal property in their possession. I will order that the 7.5 acres be paid as described and then transferred. Both parties are ordered to transfer their interest as announced here and contained in the decree. I will award Mrs. Moody the motor vehicles in her name, including the Jeep Cherokee. I will award Mr. Moody the motor vehicles in his name, including the 2021 Dodge Ram. I will award Mrs. Moody the horse trailer, subject to the debt thereon. I will order each party to pay the debts in their name or incurred by them after separation. Mr. Font, did I hear the date of separation and the date of marriage, which are both necessary here? Want to reopen?
The parties were married on November 19th, 2011, and separated on or about January 1st, 2021. Is that correct, Ms. Moody?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir, for that. All right. I find that division is a just and right division, and I will render that decision at this time. Mr. Pont, if you will submit the decree, make sure the date of marriage is listed, of course, in the decree itself as required by the amendments to the code. And then when it arrives, I will sign it and enter it, which will officially terminate your marriage.
It is in the decree and it'll be sent right now.
I'll be looking. Thank you, Mr. Pond. Thank you, Ms. Moody. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Thank you, Mr. Pond.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Mr. Rawls, are you back?
I am, Your Honor, and I believe my client will have service now. He's in the same spot I am.
Okay. If you need to, you can put him in the same car that you're in. Let's try it and see what happens.
Okay.
Now he's got to connect to audio again. His connection doesn't look very good.
Well, if you don't mind, Judge, I can just put him in my vehicle since we know
I
it's
think
working.
you need to. He's real spotty and sketchy. So let me go ahead and you use your connection, and I'm going to put that one back in the waiting room. We're going to get through this one way or the other.
Okay, Judge. Come get on my side.
You might want to rotate the phone so I can see both of you at the same time. There we go. All right, Mr. Nanez, thanks for your efforts, but I think this is the best way we can get this done. I appreciate you continuing to try.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go on the record. This is called CVB 0886 in the interest of the Nanez children. Let's have announcements, please.
Judge, I represent Jesus Nanez, Austin Rawls. We have reached an agreement in this case. We did not need to attend mediation. We were able to reach an agreement without mediation. Just as a little background, previously in this case, the last order set Mr. Nanez's child support based on a sliding scale of sorts. Back in March of last year, there was a Rule 11 agreement for unpaid child support, but there was no order or anything. For that reason, the child support division was unsure why Mr. Nanez was sending in way more than it looked like he was supposed to. And in fact, they sent him a letter saying, "We believe your obligation is completed." For those reasons, we needed a new order that spells out what the child support is now, what it was for those months where it could be, where it was on the sliding scale. And that's the agreement we've come to today, Judge.
All right. Do you have a written agreement signed by the parties and the lawyers?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. If you will e-file that for me, then I will go ahead and sign it when it arrives, once I verify the signatures are all there, and we'll close this case out without the need for any further hearings.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Anything else you need to clarify or put on the record before I let you go?
Not really, Judge, except there is one thing. Just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. This does not change anything but the child support. And so any other orders, do you understand those are still in effect?
Right.
Okay.
And just remind me, how old is the youngest child?
There's one child and she is 17 right now. She'll turn 18 this year. And so this is kind of just closing this chapter. Make sure there's no problems in the future.
That's what I thought. I knew we were right there, but I couldn't remember if she was graduating at 18 this year or if it was next year.
She'll probably, I think she's going to graduate in May. So his obligation will continue past the 18th birthday.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
I'll sign it when it arrives. We're off the record. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Judge.
Take care. Do we have our interpreter here? I think we do. Mr. Montemayor, are you with me?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Good morning. Let me go ahead
Enjoying.
and swear you in. You solemnly swear that you will truly and accurately translate the proceedings of the court from Spanish to English and English to Spanish.
I do so swear.
Lower your hand, please. So Zoom is automatically raising my hand when I raise my hand to swear people in. We're going to have to find that new setting, Ms. Holguin, and turn it off. That is an annoying new setting from Zoom. All right, let's see if the Salcidos are in the waiting room. They're not. Do we have any attorneys here on 22073? Martha and Jesus Salcido.
Yes, Judge, this is Damian Castillo. I'm here for Mr. Salcido and to make an announcement for both the opposing counsel and myself on this case.
All right ahead.
Judge, we successfully mediated this case just this past week. And so we have settled all issues in the divorce. However, we've just started drafting the decree, and it's going to be a little complicated because it involves about 7 or 8 different real properties. And we are still working on locating a couple of deeds that are going to be important for the drafting of the decree. Mr. opposing counsel had another conflict this morning. And so we just both agreed that I would announce to the court if we could reset this for a prove up to a later date. And that'll give us sufficient time to work out the necessary orders and deeds in this case.
All right, that's great news. Would you prefer March the 9th or April the 6th?
Judge, we should have everything done by March the 9th. That'll work.
All right, then I will put you on an entry of judgment on March the 9th of 23. Is this? Yeah, so this is a divorce, not a modification. So we will need a prove up, correct?
Correct, Judge.
All right, then I'll change that to a prove up. On March the 9th, 23. Wish you the best of luck with your paperwork.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
May I be excused?
If that's your only case, you are excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Montemayor, stand by.
I will, Your Honor.
All right, next up, 22079 in the matter of the marriage of Cunningham.
Your Honor, Jeff Wofford for the petitioner, Brandy Cunningham.
Rod Ponton for the respondent.
Your Honor,
All right. Good
I'd be
morning,
happy to
everyone.
make an announcement if you'd like.
Sure, I'm ready.
Your Honor, prior to the last setting in December, we had begun negotiating this case. A proposed final decree as kind of a jump off point was transmitted. Mr. Ponton did announce at that docket that they had some issues with it and that we would continue to negotiate. As of yesterday, Mr. Ponton's office did let me know that it appears the only sticking point we have is figuring out child support. it is my hope and my client's hope that we can get an agreement on this quickly without having to go to mediation and incur the extra expense. I think can only speak for my client, of course, but she would like very much to wrap this up.
No, we're prepared to do that right away, Judge. My client had changed jobs, and we just need to get some current pay stubs, and I think we can reach an agreement on child support and either be ready at the next docket or even earlier if the court wanted to entertain a prove up earlier.
All right. Of course, I'm happy to do that. We are able with these 5-10 minute prove ups to fit you in between dockets. So if you've got an agreement and a signed decree and you're ready to go, you can go ahead and send it to Ms. Olguin. She'll give you a prompt Zoom prove up setting, and we should be able to get it knocked out pretty quickly.
Mr. Wofford and I have been working together well to resolve any issues.
All right.
And Your Honor, did I correctly hear that the next regular docket is March?
No, the next regular is February the 13th.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
That was just because they have a complicated situation with some legal research to do, and I didn't want to put pressure on them if they weren't ready.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to make a note here that you anticipate prove up soon, and then we'll just say I'll put it on the 13th of February, but I'll give you a special setting if you're ready before that.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. You are excused from that case. Next up is 22088, James Smith and Melissa Smith.
Rod Ponton for James Smith.
All right, I have a decree of divorce that has been transmitted in that case. Let me make sure it is signed by everyone. Oh, there's no signatures on the one I have except for yours, Mr. Pont. So you're going to prove that up here during the hearing?
Yes, Mr. Smith. I think both parties are present here.
They are. I'm trying to get them on camera. Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, if you'd activate your cameras and unmute your microphones for me. Mrs. Smith, are you there?
They all agreed to it. That's the.
This is the petition. It's not the decree. That's the decree.
Right.
Mrs. Smith is not responding to the prompts that I'm sending to her Zoom.
Well, we've circulated a final decree, Your Honor, and I think the parties have agreed to it.
Okay. I have it. I have what you sent me. It just doesn't have their signatures.
Mhm.
It just has yours. So we need her to successfully participate here. Does anyone have a phone number they can call and let her know that we have summoned her to the courtroom?
My office is calling her right now, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Pont. Calling Mrs. Smith. Are you present? Can you hear me?
Sorry, Your Honor, I thought we had it all arranged.
Everybody's here. There we are. There she is. All right, Mrs. Smith, go ahead and unmute so I can hear you. I can't hear you yet. I need you to click the unmute button.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Mrs. Smith, before we go on the record, I have a proposed final decree of divorce. I understand that you have reviewed it and you and your husband are in agreement with the decree. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. We're going to go on the record. Mr. Ponton is going to take the lead. He's going to elicit testimony from you and your husband that this is in fact your agreement, and then I'll be able to render a decision. So let's go on the record. This is cause FMB 22088 here in Brewster County. This case is styled in the matter of the marriage of James Albert Cole Smith and Melissa Renee Smith, and in the interest of their 3 children. Let's have announcements of counsel, please.
Rod Ponton for James Smith. We're both present and ready.
And Melissa Smith is here with me once again. Mrs. Smith, are you represented by counsel or are you representing yourself today?
Myself.
All right. I have received a proposed agreed final decree of divorce that I understand the parties have reviewed and approved. I will take judicial notice that this case is ripe for a final hearing. Mr. Pont, do you intend to call both parties to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me have the 2 of you raise your right hands, hold them up where I can see them. Do each of you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir? I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I do.
Ma'am,
Yes.
lower your hands, please. Mr. Pont, you may call your first witness at this time.
James Smith.
All right,
Sure.
Mr. Smith, it's your turn to testify. Mrs. Smith, while you're listening, I don't want you to jump in if you get something wrong. Just keep note or keep track of anything that you want to address that you feel like needs clarification. And when it's your turn, you'll be able to do that, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pont, your witness.
Mr. Smith, tell the judge your name, where you live, and what you do.
My name is James Albert Cole Smith. I live at 8 Flores Street, Terlingua or Lajitas, Texas, and I'm a deputy sheriff for the Brewster County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you lived in Brewster County?
5 years.
Did you live in Texas for more than 6 months before we filed this petition for divorce?
Yes, sir.
And in Brewster County, more than 90 days before we filed this petition for divorce?
Yes, sir.
Is your marriage broken, irretrievably broken, and you're asking the court to enter a decree of divorce today?
That is correct.
And you and your wife were married on or about February 5th, 1996, and stopped living together on or about March 24th, 2022.
That is correct.
And in this regard, you have children. Tell the judge the names and ages of your children.
I have Nathaniel Smith, who is 17, Anna Smith, who is 15, and Timothy Smith, who is 13.
And where are the children living now?
They're living with me at 8 Flores Street in Lajitas.
And it is intended that the children will continue to reside with you after the divorce is entered.
That is correct, sir.
And you and your wife have discussed this, and she's, to your knowledge, is in agreement with this way that y'all have set up the where the children live.
That is correct.
And in regards to child support, what is it your understanding that you and your wife want to do?
We were requesting neither party pay child support due to the circumstances.
Okay, tell the judge has to not enter child support. The judge has to know what those circumstances are, so he thinks that it's in the best interest of the children. Could you tell him why he should not order Ms. Smith to pay child support?
Because I have been the primary supporter of the family for all of these the years that we've been married, and because Mrs. Smith is just now getting started working, and under her circumstances of trying to become more stable and settled, I think it's in her interest specifically to not have to pay the child support because of that. I think it'll put her in a financial situation where she would not be able to pay it.
And you think this is the arrangement you've made is in the best interest of the children?
Yes, I do.
You got the children in school and doing all the things that children their ages are supposed to be doing down in Lajitas and Terlingua?
Yes, sir.
Now you also have reached an agreement with your wife regarding visitation, et cetera, and it's basically going to be standard visitation for somebody that lives more than 100 miles away. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you're in agreement with that?
Yes, sir.
And you've also discussed with your wife separating out any property,
Yes, sir.
and y'all have reached an agreement regarding property.
Yes, we have.
And tell the judge the property you're going to keep in your name.
All of the household goods that we had, basically, and what I have here at the house in Lajitas.
Is the house in Lajitas owned by you?
It's rented from the resort.
I see. And so did you and your wife purchase any real estate during the marriage?
No, we did not.
So you're basically keeping your personal possessions that are in your possession, and she's keeping the personal possessions in her possession.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And you're taking over any debt in your name, and she's taking over any debt in her name.
Correct.
And what about health insurance for the children? Do you have that covered?
I will have it covered. I have the paperwork filled out and ready to turn in to the treasurer's office as soon as this proceeding is over to cover them on health care.
You're covered with Brewster County Health, the Blue Cross that Brewster County has.
Yes, sir.
And you can add the children to that.
Correct.
And you understand that normally the non-custodial parent pays for that. Are you willing to pay for that yourself rather than having your wife pay for that?
Yes, I am.
And you can afford that.
Yes, I can.
And you're asking the court to enter a divorce decree today?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that all the matters involving the children are in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
And the division of the estate is just and right?
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness.
Oh. Let me make sure I understand. There's a notation under P3 and P4 in the decree regarding the residence at 8 Flores Street in Lajitas, Texas. You don't own that, you're just renting it. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So I will line through those in the decree and put my initials to the side, showing that that is not actually property subject to division. It is a right of possession, and you have that by your agreement.
I agree with that, Judge.
Thank you. All right. Do you have any questions for him, Mrs. Smith? You've heard his announcement. Is there anything you want to ask him? Uh-oh.
I was just curious about the school. I was not informed about school.
Okay. The way the decree works, it's called joint managing conservatorship, which requires that the two of you must talk about those decisions and come to an agreement. So for this purpose, as far as educational decisions are concerned, I will go back up to there and confirm for you that that is a joint right. Just one moment. Let's see. Okay, it's an independent right. So it's Mrs. Smith under the rights and duties. You have the independent right to make decisions regarding education, and the two of you are obligated to confer to reach those agreements. Do you understand? Okay. I saw you say yes, sir. Thank you. I didn't hear you, but I'm just putting on the record that that's what you said. All right, Mr. Ponton, call your next witness.
Ms. Smith,
Yes,
Melissa,
All
sir.
right, Mrs. Smith, it's your turn to testify. So go ahead, Mr. Ponton.
Ms. Smith, you heard me just go over the matters with the judge and with your husband, James Smith, regarding the agreement on the final decree of divorce. Do you agree with everything that was stated?
Correct.
You believe that it's in the best interest of your children for them to stay with Mr. Smith in Lahitas and continue their education in that home there?
That is their choice. Yes, sir.
And do you believe you agree that it's for you not to pay child support? You think that's the best thing to try to get you back on your feet, and you think that's still good for the family?
I do agree.
And you've heard about the division of the estate where you keep what you have, any vehicles in your name. Mr. Smith
Correct.
does the same. Does that reflect all the property that the two of y'all acquired during the marriage?
Correct.
And you think the division of that estate is just and right?
Yes.
You understand that by agreeing to this, you're agreeing that the children will remain in Lahitas with Mr. Smith, but you'll have visitation according to the standard visitation terms set out in the decree.
Correct.
Okay, pass the witness, Judge.
Just real quick, I've received a written proposed final decree of divorce. Have you read and gone through that carefully?
Yes.
And you agree that this should be the order of the court, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell me before I render a decision on your agreement?
No, sir.
Very much. Just one moment, please. The court finds it has venue and jurisdiction in this matter. Find that there are 3 children subject to the jurisdiction of the court. I should verify, reopen. Ms. Smith, you're not currently expecting a child, is that true?
Correct. No.
Right. I find that there is no reasonable expectation of reconciliation of the marriage, and I will therefore grant the marriage divorce at this time. I find that the terms of the parties' agreement as to conservatorship, possession, access are in the best interest of the children. I find good cause under the circumstances based on the testimony to vary from the presumption child support, and I will therefore approve the agreement for no support at this time. Of course, both parties understand that as circumstances change, either party could apply to the court. And if you can meet the burden of proof for a modification, child support could be established in accordance with the guidelines or under Rule 123 and 154. I further find that the division of the marital estate as laid out in the proposed decree and supported by the testimony is a just and right division, and I will approve that. I will note for the record that the change to page 24, specifically lining through P3 and P4 under the division of marital estate, was made by me prior to my placing my signature on the decree. Ma'am, are you asking me to change your name?
Yes, please.
To what would you like your name restored?
Melissa Renee Smith. I'm sorry.
That's
Melissa Renee Dowdy. It's a habit. I'm sorry.
And that's Doughty. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was that your maiden name?
Yes.
I will approve the request and restore the respondent's name to her maiden name of Melissa Renee Dowdy.
Thank you.
And with that, I am placing my signature on the decree at this time, which will officially dissolve the marriage and put this agreement into effect. All right, I have done that. It will be e-filed momentarily. Once that's done, you'll be able to attain a copy from the clerk, the file marked copy for your record should you need it. Mr. Pont, anything else I can do for you on this
No.
case today?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
And Mrs. Smith, is there anything else that I can do for you on this case today?
Oh, thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Smith, Ms. Dowdy, you are excused. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Is it close?
All right, Ms. Olguin, I'm saving the signed decree back into the directory for filing. Next up, 220090 has been passed. It apparently has settled in mediation. So congratulations to them on working out their differences. Next up, 22134, which is Vanoy into Prado, shows that we've been informed that service has not been completed. So that case has been reset for further efforts at service. Next up, FMB 22139, Melanie K. Water and Terry Water. Ms. Wilson.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. All right, Ms. Wilson, what is the status on the water divorce?
I'm here for respondent Terry Waters. I prepared and circulated a final decree for Mr. Ponton on the 27th of December, and I believe they're still reviewing it. I don't believe we're going to have any issues. We should have an agreement, I would say, by next month if Mr. Ponton agrees with me.
I do, Your Honor. My client has been reviewing that. I don't think we're going to have issues with it. I've just gone over it with him. He wasn't ready to agree to it today, but I don't think there's going to be any issues that Ms. Wilson and I cannot work out.
All right. So we'll put decree and review possible prove up February 13, and I'll bring you back at that time. If you don't have it worked out, we'll talk about what needs to happen next. If you do, I'll be happy to entertain a prove up.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Let's see. 22140, the Hyatt matter has settled in mediation, so that is put off for entry of judgment later. 22143, they still lack service, so that has been extended for those purposes. 22144, Tippett and Menifee, they are both in the waiting room. So I will admit them at this time. Ms. Balovich. Mr.
Yes, Your Honor.
You took the docket back. Give it back to me. I gave it in the stack of paper.
All right. They're both here. Let's see if we can get them on camera so I can see their faces. There's Mr. Tippett. Let's get Ms. Menifee. Good morning, sir. And there she is. All right. This shows a status hearing on a divorce filed in October. Counsel, what's the status?
Rod Ponton for the petitioner. Ms. Balovich and I have been working through the decree. I think we're close to having an agreement.
That's correct, Your Honor. If I may, we had talked about putting a Rule 11 agreement. There's basically some execution issues that we'd like to resolve before we do the prove up. I believe we think it could be done by next week. But if we could just announce what the agreement's going to be, would that be okay, Mr. Ponton?
That's fine, but although I think it might be easier, Ms. Balovich, if we just work on it and then try to get a signed decree ready. And then if we do that, Judge, we could set up one of the quick 5 or 10 minute prove ups sometime between now and the next docket.
That sounds good. Judge, would you be willing to put us and our clients in a breakout room and we can maybe go over it very quickly?
The 4 of you together?
Would that be okay, Mr. Ponton? Do you have anything else?
All right. Give me one moment to do so.
Thank you.
I do have a couple of other cases on the docket, Ms. Malovich.
Oh,
But that'll be at 10 o'clock, right? So you've got 8 minutes, I
I
think.
think we can get this done very quickly.
Mr. Pond, I don't see anything else on the 9 o'clock setting. This was the last case at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
Is
you're
there
right.
something
You're
I
correct,
missed?
Judge. I'm sorry.
Okay,
You're
good.
right. Thanks.
Not a problem. Okay. Ms. Menifee, Mr. Tippett, you're about to see a blue button appear that says join. It's going to take the four of you into a separate room where I won't be able to see or hear you. When you're done, you'll leave breakout room. Don't leave meeting. Leave breakout room and come back to me here. You should see the button now. I'll stand in recess watching and waiting. Mr. Meyer, do we have you at 10 o'clock for the self-represented docket as well?
We do, Judge.
Okay. Are we going to need him?
Yes, I believe.
Leave us?
Yes, I believe they are Spanish only. At least he is.
And is this the case where we've had some trouble getting the closing documentation?
Oh, you're right. I was thinking about a different case. We may not need him, Judge. But
Yes, there is a confirmation for me to be here from 10 to 10:30, Your Honor.
Okay, so just stick around. In about 5 minutes. I'll bring in Mr. Olivas. We'll see whether we need the court's interpreter for him or his wife. And then if not, you'll be free to go.
I will, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Welcome back,
Judge,
Balovich.
we have reached an agreement and we.
Hang on, I've got to get him back. Hang on one second.
I'm sorry.
Let's find Ms. Balovich's client or Mr. Ponton's client. He's still in the other room. I'm going to attempt to move him to main session. That is a feature that I've never seen actually bring anybody back, but let's see if this is the first time. Here he comes. All right, there's Mr. Tippett. Mr. Ponton, make your announcement once again.
The parties and the lawyers have conferred. We've reached an agreement. We think we can have a signed agreed decree prepared within the next couple of days. We'd like to have approve up on the 19th at the court's convenience.
Let's take a look. That should work. Ms. Olguin, what do you think? What time of day? Afternoon?
On the 19th?
Right.
Let me see. I've offered it to a couple of other people. Let me see what time I gave them.
Well, why don't you just communicate with Ms. Balovich and Mr. Ponton about that when you have some solid numbers, and we'll get them in whenever we can.
Okay.
We'll make that work. I think I do have some settings already that day. Sounds like there's more possibly pending. So, but we'll work with you. We'll get it done. We'll get this case resolved. So I wanted to congratulate you both for working this out. It's tough, but it really does put you on the best footing going forward as parents. So, there's no children in this one. So, but nonetheless, it is still a much better way to participate in the final orders rather than having them imposed by me with what little I hear. So good on both of you. I'll be watching for the decree, and I'll see you again in a couple of days.
Yes, sir.
You're excused.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, 10 o'clock straight up. Let's get started with our next docket. Our first case is the Olivas matter. I have Mr. Olivas. Ms. Olguin, I don't have access to that one. You'll have to let me know anything that I need to from prior notes in this case. The rest of you attorneys in the room, there are no other participants in the waiting room. So if you were expecting a client or a witness, you might want to get on the phone. I'll be calling those cases in just a moment. Mr. Olivas, are you here? Can you hear me, sir? Mr. Olivas. All right, I see you. I can't hear you yet. Hang on, let me prompt your unmute there. I need you to click that unmute button. I can't hear you yet. If you're on a computer, you can just move. There it is.
Okay, there it is.
All right, Mr. Olivas, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Ms. Olguin, can you tell me the status on service, etc.?
Not
One
really.
second, Mr. Olivas. I'm asking my court coordinator to take
Okay,
a
I'm
look
sorry.
in the file history and give me a little information.
Okay.
Were there any other locations that you searched, or are there potentially any other documents out there? We also don't know, Kate.
Judge, there's.
How many specifically were. So right
What am
now.
I hearing? Is that coming from your side, Ms. Olguin?
No, Judge.
What would you say? We don't.
Okay. Do you have the status on appearance?
I'm pulling it up now, Judge. It looks like she was served August 4th in Tom Green County.
All right, has she ever appeared?
She has not. She's never appeared. I think we just needed a signature on the decree is what I remember in this case.
All right. And Mr. Olivas, you've got something turned on. It sounds like back there, a television or something. Would you mute that for me? It's interfering with our record.
Okay, is that better?
That is better. Thank you.
Okay.
So have you and your wife been working on an agreed decree to try to wrap this case up?
Well, we both just want it done. She refuses to be on Zoom or to sign paperwork. So I even went to where she lives to try and get it signed, but she said she didn't want to see me. So
Okay. Have you submitted that proposed decree to me?
yes.
Ms.
I
Levine,
don't-
do you have it?
I don't have it, Judge. Let me text the clerks real quick and see if they have it.
Right. I don't have it in our subfolder either. So did you go through and fill it out and put in all your cars and property and everything?
Yes, sir. I dropped it off at the office.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put you back in the waiting room and call some other cases while we're trying to get your decree. As soon as I have it, which should be momentarily, I'll bring you back in, put you under oath, and we'll go through it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll get right back to you. That case is on recall for final hearing. And you're still unmuted, Ms. Levine, just so you know. Next up, 22117, Shay Miller and Richard Dominguez in the matter of the marriage of. Is there anyone here on that case? I have a proposed decree. I have no witness nor attorney. Have you heard from them, Ms. Olguin?
No, Judge, I just know they sent me the decree. I think I have the decree for Olivas as well. I just need to do some better digging.
All right.
But no, I have not heard from them, Judge.
All right. I'm going to reset that case. Obviously, if they've given us a decree, they are intending to prosecute. So let's reset it for February. Maybe they'll show up that time, or we can have an in-person hearing if that's what they would prefer. Next up, 8084, a Presidio County case. We're hearing by special setting in the matter of the marriage of Loyola.
And Your Honor, I'm present and ready. My client is trying to sign in, but I don't think that Mr. Rodriguez is here again.
All right. She has not yet successfully signed in. Did you give her the website link that we always use?
Yes, and I sent it to her by text, and then I've just sent it to her by email to see if that made a difference.
All right. She shouldn't have any trouble with that. It's a pretty solid system, but some people, for some reason, do.
Yeah. Without Mr. Rodriguez, though, I don't think that we can proceed.
Oh, it's not signed off by everybody?
That's correct. No, it's not.
He is not here. Ms. Olguin, have you heard from Mr. Rodriguez?
No, Judge, I've been emailing them both. Ms. Carpenter's the only one that's answered. I haven't got a response from Mr. Rodriguez. This was the one where our Zoom wasn't working and he couldn't get in on Tuesday.
Right.
But I haven't received an email response back from him either. It's possible he's called and I've missed it the last few days we've been gone, but no response on email.
I know that's disappointing, Ms. Carpenter. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine if we can just reset it.
We can, and we are trying to fit in some of these prove ups as we can between our other dockets. We're just booked sun up to sundown every day, but if we've got 10 minutes and you can make it fit, I'll put you in there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So why don't you do this? Get everybody lined out again. If we need to have it in person, I'm happy to do that. But let's try to get you in before the next docket. If you can't, then that next docket is February the 13th.
Okay, and if that's by Zoom, that would work for me, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I
Fine with me.
prefer that just so my client doesn't have to pay for me to come all the way out there.
Oh no, I'm happy to do that, but I'll do it sooner by Zoom as well if that's what you prefer.
Whenever we can get in, if not, I'm good on the 13th, Your Honor.
All right, so here's what we'll do. I'll direct the clerks and the coordinator to add that to the docket on February the 13th, but to give you an earlier setting if everyone can agree and appear successful.
All right. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Take
All right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Does anyone have any other matters set for the 10 o'clock docket this morning? All right, Mr. Montemayor, it appears your services have been fulfilled for the morning in the easiest possible way.
I live to serve at the pleasure of the court, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Montemayor. You are excused. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Let's get Mr. Olivas back in here and we will find that decree. Have you had any luck yet?
Yes, Judge, I just put it in the chat. It's still uploading. Oh, there.
I see it. I see it. I am opening your decree right now, Mr. Olivas. Go ahead and unmute for me so I can hear you.
I think we'll need to update the cause number, Judge. That's what the confusion was. I was looking under 22112, but it's marked as 2200088. That's a different
Okay.
case.
That's odd. It's not successfully downloading. It's incomplete. It says 343 kilobytes. There's no way that's true. Would you send it again?
I'll just print it and walk it over.
Okay, because that's also true in the directory. I see it appeared there. It is also incomplete there. So some glitch in the scan. We're going to do this old school, Mr. Olivas. I'm going to hold paper in my hand. Something I haven't done in a long time. Go ahead and click that screen and hit that unmute button so I can hear you. I still can't hear you.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
There you are. I sure can.
Okay. Sounds like a commercial. Let's do it.
Poor Lori's going to have to make the walk across the hall. We don't do that much either.
Okay.
Thank you very much. There's two more things that you're going to have to do for me, by the way, before this case is over. Because she is in default, if you look at the decree, do you have your copy of the document you gave me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
On the first page, you see the section that says respondent, where you wrote her name in. The box that I have to check is the fifth one down. It says the respondent was not present. She was served and has defaulted. But look at the next sentence. The petitioner, that's you, has filed a certificate of last known address and a military status affidavit. So you go back to texaslawhelp.org, the same place you got this. You need to print out those two documents. You fill them out, sign them. One of them has to be notarized. The military status affidavit has to be notarized. And then you'll take those two things to the clerk. You have to do that, okay?
Okay. So we're going to have to wait another month?
No, we're going to do that right now. But you've got to get those documents to
So
us within the week.
Okay. Well, military status. I'm a disabled veteran, but what is...
It's not about you. It's about her.
Okay.
See, when someone gets served and doesn't appear, they want to make sure that it's not someone who's deployed overseas and fighting, and that's why they didn't show up. So you have to swear on a document that she's not in the military fighting overseas. That's what that is.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
So it's going to take another week?
No.
No.
I want you to get those to the clerk as quickly as you can.
I'll do it right now. That's fine.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Did she give birth to any children during the marriage at all?
No.
To anyone? Anyone else?
Well, I have grown kids, and she has kids of her own, but we didn't have kids together.
Okay. And she didn't give birth to any other man's kid during the marriage either?
No, I don't think so. Never mind. I don't can't even say that. But yeah,
You would know if she gave birth
I guess she
while
did
you were
not.
married to her.
Yeah, no, sir.
Okay. The home in Alpine, did you buy that before you were married or during the marriage?
We bought it during the marriage.
Did you buy it or did you inherit that property?
The property is family property, so I don't
Okay.
own the whole property. We're all
Okay.
share the property, but she
Okay.
wasn't with me when I took with the property. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. On the deed to 505 South 7th Street in Alpine, does your name appear on that document?
Yes, the deeds in my well, it's in my dad's name. He's passed away, but I pay the taxes, so I'm like the character. I don't know what it means, but yes, but it's
Just listen to my very specific questions because I'm asking you just the minimal amount of information I need. Don't tell
okay.
me the rest of the story because it kind of clutters it up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the property belonged to your father.
Yes, sir.
Your father died.
Right.
Right. And that's how it is you came to have an interest in the property because it was your dad's and he died, correct?
Correct.
Got it. Does your wife have any real estate that she owns or has any interest in?
No, not that I know of.
Does she have a car, a truck, some kind of vehicle?
She has a car that we bought, but we put it in her name. Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the year, make, and model of that car?
I think it's 2000. It's a Honda Sonata. 2012. I think I can't remember what it was. Yes.
All right. Any other cars that she has or motorcycles, trucks, anything like that?
Not that I know of. No.
All right. Did you contribute to retirement? You said you're military, so you've got military retirement. Is that right?
Well, I'm just a disabled veteran. I don't actually have retirement yet. So yes.
So any retirement that she has earned, she gets to keep, and any retirement you've earned, you get to keep. And if there's military benefits for her as a spouse, that goes through the feds, not through me, right?
Okay. Yes, sir. And she was never on. I called the VA, and they said she was never on my, on, I guess as being married to me. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
All right. What day were you married?
July 8th. I think it was 12 years ago. I'm not real sure.
All right. I have to know the date, so we have to be sure. Can you
July
figure it out?
8th, July 8th, 2008, 2007, I think.
2007?
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on.
No,
2007 would make it 15 years, coming up on 16 years. Does that
okay.
sound right?
Yeah, because we moved back to Alpine. We're here in 2016, 15, maybe the 12th, 2012, maybe. It's closer.
Okay. Ms. O'Gain, do you have access to the petition?
Yes, Judge, 1 second.
Thank you. When did y'all stop living together and separate and say you're not going to be married anymore?
She left in October of it's been over a year already.
I
Last
just
year.
needed a date. So October the 15th of 2022 or 21?
October 31st, 2022. It's been a year, over a year that she's been gone.
Over a year. So that would make it 2021.
Yeah.
Because October of 2022 was just a few months ago.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sorry, over a year and yeah, it's been.
All right. Does she want to change her name or is she going to stick with the name she has?
We don't really communicate. Yeah. So. I'm sure she's going to change her name, but yeah.
Well, she's not going to do that today.
Okay. That's fine.
July 8th, 2011, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Olivas, we are going to go on the record now. I'm going to place you under oath and I'm going to ask you some questions. Now, I know you have a lot of information you like to share, but I need you to listen very carefully and just answer the specific questions I ask, okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
We are on the record and cause FMB 22088 in the matter of the marriage of Jesus Portillo Olivas and Martha Olivas, a case filed in Brewster County in the 394th Judicial District. I will take judicial notice that the respondent has been served, has failed to appear, and the return has been on file in excess of 10 days. I will further take judicial notice that this case is ripe for final hearing. There's one person before me. What is your name, sir?
Jesus Portillo Olivas.
Would you raise your right hand, hold it up where I
Yes,
can
sir.
see it? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Lower your hand. It's time for you to testify. Put your hand down. Tell me your full legal name, please, sir.
Jesus Portillo Olivas.
Are you currently married to Martha Olivas?
Yes, sir.
Did you marry her on July the 8th of 2011?
Yes, sir.
Did you separate on October the 31st of 2021?
Yes, sir.
When you filed this case, had you lived in Texas for at least 6 consecutive months?
Yes, sir.
Had you lived in Brewster County for at least 90 consecutive days?
Yes, sir.
Has your marriage with Martha fallen apart and broken so that there's no chance you're going to reconcile and give it another go?
Yes, sir.
Did your wife give birth to any children during your marriage?
No, sir.
To your knowledge, is she pregnant right now?
No, sir.
Did you take any children into your home for purposes of adoption?
No, sir.
You have suggested in your pleading here that you inherited an interest in property known as 505 South 7th Street, Alpine, Texas. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your father owned it and he passed away, and you've obtained an interest as a result. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
You're asking me to confirm that as your separate property by inheritance, yes?
Yes, sir.
Your wife owns no separate property that she owned prior to marriage or inherited. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Now, the two of you have divided up your belongings so that you have what you're keeping in one place and she has what she's keeping in another place. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
You're going to keep the 1994 Ford F-150.
Yes, sir.
You're going to keep the trailer, which is your property, on 505 South 7th Street in Alpine.
Yes, sir.
You're going to keep the personal belongings and stuff that you've acquired as well that you possess, correct?
Yes, sir.
And any bank accounts or assets that are in your sole name, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to pay any debts that you've incurred in your name?
Yes, sir.
You're going to pay any debts you've incurred since the date of separation, October the 31st of 2021, yes?
Yes, sir.
Now, your wife has a 2012 Honda Sonata that she's getting in this divorce. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And you agree that she can keep any property in her possession, but you expect her to pay any debts in her name or that she has incurred since the date of separation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking me to grant you a divorce?
Yes, sir.
I have directed and ordered you to prepare and submit the certificate of last known address and the military status affidavit. Are you going to comply and do that for me?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make an announcement. That's all the questions that I have. Oh, I do have one more. Do you think the way you've divided up all your stuff and the way you've each agreed to pay debts, if you took all those values and amounts and compared them, do you think that's a fair way to divide up your property?
Yes, sir.
It's fair to her as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to make an announcement at this time. You don't need to respond to me, but I do want you to listen, okay?
Yes, sir.
The court finds that as venue and jurisdiction of this case, I find there is no reasonable expectation of reconciliation, and so I am granting your divorce. I find that there are no children subject to the jurisdiction of the court. I will confirm property at 505 South 7th Street in Alpine to be the husband's separate property. I will award the 1994 Ford F-150, the trailer in Alpine, as well as all property and accounts in your name to you. I will award the 2012 Honda Sonata, all property in your wife's possession and name to her. I find that to be a fair and equitable division of the marital estate. I'm ordering you each to pay any debts in your name secured by your property or that you've incurred since the date of separation. With that, I am signing the decree terminating the marriage at this time. All right, Mr. Olivas, just make sure you get those 2 documents on file so that this is valid and then this marriage is dissolved. All right, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
You're excused.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Olguin, I've signed the decree. Do we have any other matters on our 10 o'clock docket that we have not yet addressed?
No, Judge, that's it.
And you want me to correct the number to 22112? Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Initial that. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We got quite a bit done in a short period of time. We are adjourned at this time. Thank you.